And there's a very beautiful tradition at DLD that every year we're giving the award, the Aenne Burda Award for creative leadership. Aenne Burda, for those who don't know, was my husband's wife. No, I'm sorry. Well, I'm sorry. That's what you call a Freudian slip, right? No, I guess she was your mother, Hubert. I'm so sorry. Well, this is this is the end of my speech. No, and she was a very powerful woman. She definitely wrote one of Germany's biggest post-war success story, definitely the biggest female post-war success story in Germany, with Burda Worden. And she really is a woman that lived her dreams, that, yeah, lived her will to power. And I remember she always said, wann immer ich etwas will, das kriege ich. What I want, I get it. And this is pretty powerful, even for a stepmother. So I'm sorry for the slip. And I think it's a very good tradition that we're having this award here, because even, now that I look around, and I think we have to empower women, even in the startup area, in the tech area, there's still very few women around. And Germany needs, Mücki Seidlein mentioned it, Germany needs to do some homework there, because as you may know, in the top 200 companies in Germany, there's only 3% women on board. And even Burda, and this is the part my husband loves, Burda has to do some work there. Although, Hubert, you have 70% of female workers at Burda, none of them in the board and very few in the leading management. But I'm sure this is going to change. And you love it when I mention it, I know. I'm sorry. But we have finally to come really to, I don't know, the sentence from Aenne Burda, I get what I want. I don't know if it would apply to you, Arianna, but definitely you are a woman as well, that you lived your dreams, and you lived it, and this might be the leitmotif for you, Arianna, is you lived it fearlessly. I think fearless is something that applies very well to you. And it's interesting because you said at a very early age you recognize that we women are much more scared to fail than men are. And I definitely want you to know more about it, that you tell us more about it. I have to look into my papers because I'm getting so confused. Hubert is looking with such an awkward look to me. This completely confuses me. Darling, do you want to come up and, no, stay where you are, it's bitter. It's going to mess it all up. Well, definitely, Arianna, you are fearless. You have always been fearless. You started your first internet venture at the age of 55, which is not the typical age to start your first internet venture. You started it with a capital of $1 million and sold it a few years later for $315 to AOL. You all know who I'm talking about, Arianna Huffington. It's wonderful to have you here, Arianna. And certainly the difference between you and so many other women, I include myself, is that you don't regard setbacks as a huge failure, as a disaster. You say failure, a setback, is just another stepping stone to success. And you really live that. I mean, you have known failures, and you're very open about this. You mentioned that your second book was rejected, I think, by 36 publishers, and you went on and you finally found the one who got it, and it turned into a very successful book. Even when I asked you, tell me all your failures, you said, yeah, there was a man, I loved him, we were together for 7 years, but he never would want to marry me and have children. And this was a failure. I said, I cannot mention this. Of course you can mention this. So I'm happy to mention it. And for you, this was another stepping stone to becoming even more, convinced, dedicated to what you wanted to do. You have even written a book about fearlessness that you called Becoming Fearless in Life, Work, and Love. And now, so in 2005, fearlessly again, you founded the Huffington Post together with your partner, which I have to, together with your partner, Kenneth Lehrer. I mean, today it's hard to imagine, but in 2005, a blogger was, I mean, that was somebody who would mostly sit in his pajama, mostly at home in the underground in front of his computer, because he didn't really make it up to be a real journalist. So it was a completely different atmosphere than today. I mean, nowadays every good journalist obviously has his blog site as well. So things have changed since, but you recognize in a very early stage that if this is going to be a success, you have to have high quality journalists from very first moment. And that's why you got people like Arthur Schlesinger, Norman Mailer, or celebrities like Alec Baldwin from the very start to write for the Huffington Post. And your promise to the reader was always, whether we create it or we curate it, when you go to the Huffington Post, you will find the best of the web. And with this credo, you step by step overtook all the quality media there was around. I mean, you first started with the LA Times, then you were better than Washington Post, and finally you overtook as well the New York Times. And nowadays you have, I think, what is it, 35 million unique users monthly, 2 million more than the LA Times, the New York Times. And this is really a tremendous success, and no wonder you have been on the Times 100 list 2 times in the last 3 years, I believe. You've been, of course, amongst the 12 women of Forbes list, the most powerful women in media. And I think we can all be very proud to have Arianna here, and I am. And you're a very, how would I say, honorable recipient for the Aenne Burda Award for Creative Leadership. And Arianna, please welcome on stage Arianna Huffington, who just said in an interview, hang on, because I love the sentence, women should sleep their way to the top. Please welcome Arianna Huffington. Here you go. Where's the award? This is the beautiful award. It's very heavy. Aenne Burda Award for Creative Leadership to Arianna Huffington, Munich, January 24th, 2012. This is it.
Thank you so much, Maria. Thank you to everyone. This is very humbling. I promise to emulate her generosity of spirit, her creativity, her innovation, her relentlessness. And the fact that the award comes in the shape of the face of Athena is very significant to me, because I feel that since Athena was the goddess of wisdom, she epitomizes what our culture needs more than anything. And right now, if you look at all the amazing achievements that have been brought about thanks to technology, what we are missing is wisdom. You know, Plotinus, the 3rd century philosopher, wrote about 3 stages of knowledge: science, opinion, illumination. Now, the internet has given us tons of facts, data, science, tons of opinion, God knows, but not enough illumination, not enough wisdom. So as we look around the country, as we look around the world, we see an enormous amount of extremely smart leaders in media, in politics, in finance, very smart, high IQs, great degrees, making terrible decisions. So I want to focus, on the next few minutes that I have before Maria comes back on the stage, so we can have a conversation, to talk about that. How can we use even technology to help us connect more with our wisdom? And let me say that the last time I was at DLD was in 2006. The Huffington Post was a baby, literally a few months old. And I was very grateful to have been invited to speak. Now, 2012, the Huffington Post is having babies. Our first one was a Canadian baby, then we had a UK baby. Yesterday, we gave birth to a French baby. In March, we are launching together with El País in Spain a Spanish baby, and then we're coming to Italy with L'Espresso and Repubblica. And then I hope we're going to come to Germany. But the point is that as we have grown up, so has the internet. And while in the early stages of the internet, we're like adolescents. You know, we're staying up too late, eating too much junk food, doing too much indiscriminate dating. Now the internet has grown up, and we're looking online for the same qualities that we look for in our offline lives. More curation, more selectivity, more civility. You know, at the Huffington Post, we just reached 125 million comments. But one of the ways we did that by having all our comments pre-moderated to avoid the worst aspects of the internet, you know, trolls, ad hominem attacks. So as we're looking at all that, there are three things that I see ahead and three kind of innovations that I want kind of all the great brilliant minds here to try and bring about. Because I also believe that they are in the zeitgeist, and I can fully use this word here, which I believe is an untranslatable word, but so correct. There is such a thing as a zeitgeist, and I think there are three things that are in it right now. The first is the fact that there is such a breakdown of trust in our world. You know, there is an erosion of trust in our institutions. We don't trust the people who govern us. There is a disconnect between those who govern and those that they claim to represent. And as a result, and I'm very happy that Sheryl Sandberg will be speaking after me, people are increasingly trusting their peers more than they trust the different establishments that are governing, whether in politics, media, finance. So I would love someone here to create a kind of fact-checking tool. So when public figures speak, and they fabricate things, which they regularly do, a little bubble will be going up that will be telling us exactly what is accurate and why what they are saying is not accurate. I feel it's going to have an amazing impact on the public discourse, but it has to be in real time. Those of you who are already starting thinking and coding, remember, real time. If it happens after the fact, it's not as powerful. So the first thing is trust. As Craig Newmark said, trust is the new black. And how we bring back trust is going to be key in the next few years. The second thing is wisdom, back to Athena. And that's why I believe that this is a paradox. Even though we are getting more and more connected, we also need to learn to disconnect in order to connect with ourselves and our own wisdom. That is essential, especially as we are now going to have billions more people coming online. If we don't learn to disconnect, we are lost. And that's what Maria meant when she said that I've been saying that women need to sleep their way to the top. I mean, literally sleep. Literally sleep. You know, that's the way to just wake up recharged, ready to tackle the world. You know, I have a feeling that women have to lead the way here because for some reason men consider sleep deprivation a virility symbol. I was having dinner with a guy recently who said to me, you know what, I only had 5 hours sleep last night. And I didn't say it, but I thought to myself, you know what, if you had gotten 6, this dinner would have been more interesting. I was also thinking, you know, if Lehman Brothers were Lehman Brothers and sisters, maybe they might still be around today. You know, maybe I think your mother would have liked that, don't you think? Maybe some Lehman sister would have woken up after an 8-hour sleep, refreshed, recharged, and would have seen the iceberg before it hit the Titanic. Because isn't that what leadership is, Mr. Minister? It's not really about operating from your inbox. It's about seeing the dangers before they're obvious. It's about hearing the whispers that others are not hearing. It's about tapping into your own intuition. And Maria and I had a great conversation last night about that because I was telling her how one of my books, which nobody has read, don't worry, I think it sold 3 copies, but don't worry about it. It was one of my failures. But it was called The Fourth Instinct. And it was about my belief that beyond the first 3 instincts, of survival, sex, and power, human beings are driven by a fourth instinct, which is the instinct for transcendence, for meaning, for disconnection from the world in order to connect with the deepest part of ourselves. And when we tap into that, we'll really be able to solve the multiple crises we are facing. Because the problems we are facing, to paraphrase Einstein, cannot be solved at the same level of thinking that created them. We need to tap into a deeper level. And in fact, there is a lot of great creative thinking around that at DLD, like the Jawbone app that can track your state of mind and your state of being. I would love you to take it one step further, and somebody here should create the GPS for the soul, or iSoul if you prefer. The point is that it could actually track when we are on course and when we are off course. And it could actually be programmed personally for us to help us get on course. I know for me, it's meditation, it's yoga, it's going to sleep. I left one of the fabulous parties last night earlier than I would have liked because I wanted to get enough sleep. Practical little steps that help us connect. And the final thing that I want to end on is we need a dramatic increase in empathy. I think there is a race against time at the moment between the forces and the powers of fear-mongering that are appealing to our worst parts, to the lizard brains, and the forces of empathy. And we've seen here so many people who are all about empathy. People like Cowgirl, that is introducing storytelling as a way to connect with each other. People that are bringing others together. Maria herself, you know, a fabulous actress, but also a doctor who is donating her services. All the people here are doing something beyond their own careers. They're doing something to make the world better. We need to accelerate that instinct for empathy, for connectivity with each other and with ourselves. And if we achieve those two things, and if we also bring in trust back, we are going to be able to tackle all the challenges we're facing, and we're going to be able to do it with more gratitude, with more joy, and yes, with more sleep. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Arianna. You're really a fabulous speaker. And I think the idea you brought up to develop a device that tells us, that is able to tell when we're connected to ourselves, when we are embodied. I mean, how many times a day can we really say this? How often is our soul, our thoughts over here? When are we really present in this present moment? Me being aware, sitting next to you in front of all these people. Imagine a device that could measure this. Should we develop this? Should we find this? Is the best idea.
Anybody who wants to work with Maria and me to develop this device, please email me at arianna@huffingtonpost.com. Arianna, 1 R, 2 N's, right? And Maria, I don't want to give your email out, but I will forward them to you.
Excellent idea. Thank you very much. Arianna, to get back to more banal things, how has your life changed since AOL bought for little money the Huffington Post? How has it changed?
It's actually been quite an amazing year. It's almost a year. Because all the things that I was dreaming to do, I was able to do in an accelerated way because suddenly we had the resources to do them. Specifically 3 things. One, I wanted to expand our original reporting. So we've added over 200 journalists to our staff. I wanted to grow the sections of the Huffington Post. When we were bought by AOL, we had 24 sections, including a section on divorce. One of our editors, Nora Ephron, had said to me one morning, you know, we must launch a section on divorce because marriage comes and goes, but divorce is forever. And it became one of our most successful sections because it captured what the Huffington Post does best, which is connecting interests and passions with social, with sharing, with news. So anyway, after the merger with AOL, we've launched another 24 sections, including books, culture, parents, women, weddings. We launched weddings after divorce to show that we're not cynical. And also, we started our global expansion, which, given that I'm Greek, this accent is for real, it was a dream of mine to take the Huffington Post around the world. And
when are you going to take it to Greece?
Oh, yes, we're working on taking it to Greece. I can't wait. I think Greece definitely needs a starter site, to tap into all the amazing resources, human resources that are at the moment going to waste.
And you could do it same time than in Germany, because anyway, we would finance it somehow, probably.
Yeah, absolutely. We know some people here, right, who can make it happen.
Yeah. Tell me, what do you say to those critics who pretend or who say that the Huffington Post accelerated tremendously the death of newspapers? And are you a newspaper killer? Are we in Germany privileged to still have so many good and big newspaper because Huffington Post hasn't made it to Germany yet? Or you say, no, it's not a killing field?
Actually, ever since we launched the Huffington Post 2005, I've always said again and again that it's not either or. It's not print or online. In the foreseeable future, as far as we can see, newspapers and magazines are going to exist. There is something in the human DNA that makes us want to go to print, that makes us want to turn the pages. I personally subscribe to 7 newspapers. I don't read them all. Sometimes they accumulate dust, but I like having them there. And there is something all around the world that you see. That's why you have software like Newspapers Direct or satellite newspapers that if you are in faraway places, can actually print you the newspaper from the computer. So I don't think we should ever consider... So many newspapers
died.
Well, a lot of newspapers that did not evolve died. It's like survival. You have to evolve. You have to do a lot of stuff online. But it's not the death of newspapers. I think what is fascinating is that we're now seeing a hybrid future. Like, look at the Huffington Post. It's doing more and more original reporting. It's hiring more and more journalists. But at the same time, we are a platform for thousands of bloggers, amplifying many voices that otherwise would not have the amplification that we can provide.
One other question, you said that your new passion is really how do we deconnect from the web? But this is, everybody who knows you a little bit and observes you, it's very difficult to believe because you have like 4 Blackberries, you have 3 iPhones, in the hotel you said, oh, I have only 2 iPads in the hotel. How can we, believe you, and how do you really disconnect, Arianna?
Well, that's exactly the point. I speak as an addict. That's why I know, that's why I want to be believed. I learned this the hard way. I fainted from exhaustion 3.5 years ago when I got back home after I had taken my oldest daughter on a college tour. And I literally got up from my desk to get a sweater because I was cold, and I fainted, and I hit my head on my desk. I got a broken cheekbone, 5 stitches on my right eye, and that was what was my moment of awakening. You see, if you're really, really stubborn like I am, you got to get it really hard before you understand. That's why I'm hoping people don't have to have a heart attack or a fainting episode before they learn to disconnect. And for me, it was like a gift. I learned on that journey back how to make it a priority.
And this is when you came up again with this idea as well, that we need more empathy and we needed more connectedness. What is it? What are you doing to get more connected, to have this, as you said, 4th instinct more alive? What is it you're doing to do so?
Well, first of all, trying to make it part of your day. Each person will do it their own way, whether it's meditation, yoga, picking the causes that you care about, the people that you love, the people that I consider my tribe, the people that are there for you in good times and bad. Women especially need that because we have a harder time with failure, as you said at the beginning.
Why is this so?
I think because we have that voice in our head that I call the obnoxious roommate living in our head that is constantly judging us.
But then men don't have it?
Well, men can shut it down and go watch a soccer game.
Is that true?
But women sort of have to wrestle it into the ground. And so we need to learn not to take that voice seriously. And we need to learn also, you know, as we were talking yesterday with Peter Diamandis, you know, I don't know if he's here, who has a new fabulous book out about how our brains tend to gravitate towards bad news, towards crisis, because it's almost like a survival trait that could kill us. And so we need to also retrain our brain not to go into negative fantasies. As Montaigne said, there were many terrible things in my life, but most of them never happened. So how much time do we waste in this negative fantasizing instead of actually being right here where we can deal with whatever happens?
And so you're going to develop the device as well that is going to shut this down. You know, every time it comes up, bad, obnoxious roommate,
with your help
shut down.
And who knows who in this room is going to come up with a GPS for the soul? Wouldn't you like to have, wouldn't everybody here like to have one in your car?
Yeah.
Or by your bed? Incidentally, one useful, practical piece of advice. How many people here sleep with their iPhones or iPads or BlackBerries next to their bed? Okay, never again. Mr. Minister, please, you will be able to solve the problem of Turkey entering the European Union if you put away your iPhone or your BlackBerry from your bed.
That's an easy advice,
I promise you. I'll tell you why. Because when you wake up at night, I bet you are tempted to look at the data. I bet you. He's nodding. He's nodding. And I say that there is nothing that cannot wait. I'm sure if there is a major crisis, they'll find you in the middle of the night. I have a special phone number that I give to my daughters and to our news editor who is on. I said, if there is a huge crisis, if the Third World War breaks or you have an accident, call me on that phone. But it's not the same as my BlackBerry, because we really need to disconnect. And otherwise, there is evidence. I just joined the Harvard School of Medicine Sleep Division. And there is real evidence that if you interrupt that uninterrupted deep sleep, you don't wake up as recharged. Don't you want to wake up really ready to create, to deal with any crisis in a way that is...
By the way, recharge. I think this is a wonderful idea, Steffi, which we should, you, Marcel, and Steffi should think about for the next DLD. At the Democrats Convention, you created an oasis, which was called Recharge and Relax and Recharge. Unplug and Recharge.
We're doing it again.
And she offered reflexology, a yoga class, and all the people and men would come and not leave, right? They would stay there and not go back to work. I think this is a wonderful idea.
If anybody is coming here to the Democratic Convention or to the Republican Convention, come and visit us. We're going to have an oasis in both conventions where people can really unplug, recharge, and then return back to the chaos of the convention.
Arianna, thank you so much. It was wonderful to have you here. And I believe you know very well the person who's coming right after as a glorious end of the DLD conference, and I would like you to introduce our next speakers. But first, give a big hand to Arianna Huffington. Thank you very much.